With the failure of the Marvels, many people are starting to hope that these comic book films will get away from the crackpot wokeness and start to restore the hero's journey in stories that we know and love. The original MCU characters were great, and they don't have to be white men. That's not the issue. The issue is your stories suck. We now have this story from the Post-Millennial. Gay, sex-fueled Green Lantern comic book dead on arrival after fans reject it and sales fall flat. The only way we can shut these people down is to make this book an undeniable success, Sheridan told his fans. Let me just stress for you. The comic book industry is not dying. The comic book industry has been taken over and is being worn like a skin suit by woke psychopaths. And this is proof. In October, author Tim Sheridan urged people to pick up a copy of his latest work, a Green Lantern reboot, in which the DC superhero has adult relations with a guy. Despite his pleas, the comic appears to have struggled to gain favor among readers. Why? Dude, I don't care if you're gay. Don't care if you're LGBTQIA2A+, whatever. But yo, when you make a product for like 0.7% of the population, you're gonna get 0.7% of the sales. You see what I'm saying? There's not that many people who are interested in this story. And so this dude who wrote it made this plea to all of his allies. You must buy this book. Yo, it didn't work. And don't you dare, leftists, come to me and say, well, the reality is just comic books are failing in general. That is a bald-faced lie. You know how I know? Because Eric July raised $3.7 million in sales. This is crazy. ISOM #1 campaign, total covers sold. Cover A, 27,000. Cover B, 17,000. Cover B, 18,000. Campaign goals, 100,000. Total sales, 3.7 million. 42,926 total purchases. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that 42,000 sales is like where comic books used to be or anything like that. But the reality is, how is it that our good friend Eric July is receiving resounding success and notoriety? People are cheering for it. His company is expanding. Meanwhile, the legacy icons are failing. Look at this. It currently sits at number 277, this comic, and at 39,736 among titles in the Kindle store. That is just a failure. Now, we all know about Gay Superman. They released this, and where do I have this one? Right here. I don't know Sandra Rose's, but I thought this was a good title. Gay Superman comic book canceled due to abysmal low sales. Last year, DC announced the new Superman, his son John Kent, would be bi and have a boyfriend, a twink newspaper reporter. So Don Lemon went on CNN and praised this. But yo, right now, we're all having a good laugh about black paraplegic Santa at Target. I'm not okay. Maybe I should just pull this one up because a lot of people might be like, wait. I didn't see your episode last night. What are you talking about, Tim? Yeah, this is the left is certainly angry that we've brought up the issue. I'm scrolling down to get the image for y'all. And they're claiming we're angry about it. But no, listen, here's the point. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen. End Wokeness posted this image, which shows, there's regularly abled, I think is the appropriate term, perhaps, I don't know. And then you have white and black paraplegic Santas. Just why? All right, the question is not there's anything wrong with it. I'm not mad. I find it actually quite hilarious. But I also think, what's offensive about it? It's insulting to paraplegic individuals. Here's my point with all this. Who are they selling this to? Like, is there a large population of black paraplegics who are going to buy these ornaments? No. Now, don't get me wrong. The market, she shall provide. The invisible hand will make sure that anyone who wants to be represented will get their version of Santa Claus. There could be Japanese Mecha Santa Claus. There can be North and South Korean Santa Claus. Whatever you so desire. Because if people want to buy it, they'll buy it. Why is Target, a massive multinational corporation, I believe multinational, but I know the Australia Target, the story there is like it's a fake version of it or something. I don't know. National box store is selling this. My question is, does it warrant the cost? Are they going to sell enough of these? Who are they selling them to? The answer, my friends, is affluent white female liberals. That's who they're hoping will buy this. So they can virtue signal, look how much we care about diversity. Everyone can be Santa Claus. Well, I'm sorry, man. This is the point, okay? You want to make a book about the Green Lantern banging dudes. Please, by all means, do so. I ain't gonna whinge or cry about it. The issue, however, is I will laugh at your failures when you think something like this could become mainstream and popular. Yo, your market size is... Let me try and explain something to all of you guys, okay? Something you all probably know, but this guy clearly doesn't. I am like a centrist, moderate type, leaning left on certain issues, but leaning right on other issues, anti-war. So, milquetoast fence sitter, they say, right? Yeah, I don't think I'm going to build up a strong audience among Zionist Jewish conservatives. Now, many of you watching may actually be Zionist Jewish conservatives, and you like watching the show for a balanced perspective, or maybe I'm not, I don't know, whatever. My point is, there are channels where the personality is a leftist and the personality is a staunch conservative. I am neither of these things, so I don't get a lot of those viewers. I get the more moderate viewer. And I know this. It would be absurd for me to go to you and say, make sure you convince all of your leftist friends to watch my show. They'd be like, why would we watch your show? We don't like you. Ah, fair point. Now, I do say, don't get me wrong, that y'all should share these shows, become a member at timcast.com, etc., etc., because I would like to expand this company, our cultural victories, and our perspective and view as far and wide as possible, which means we'll ultimately try to convince people like, hey, take a look at the things we were talking about. These are things that we think are right. But you know what? The market share for conservatives is larger than moderates. The market share for liberals is larger than moderates. So I get a little bit more of the conservative audience because because reality has a conservative bias these days, or I should say reality has a right-wing bias. But this is my point. Homeboy wanted to make a comic for gay people, of which there is a microscopic market share here. Affluent white female liberals aren't going to be reading Green Lantern. They don't care about this. And of the people who read comics who are gay, you're talking about like at least, if I'm being generous, 1 to 2% of the comic book reading audience who is going to be like, I would like to read a book where two dudes bang. The average guy experiencing a desire for a woman, and the average person who reads a comic book is male, is going to want to see a story in which they fantasize or visualize this epitome of masculinity winning over the most beautiful woman. That's just what dudes on average want. Now, I'm not saying every product needs to cater to the mass majority or anything like that. I'm just saying it's no surprise these things fail because they don't have the target market to support it. But I got an answer for you, my friends. You can sustain these comic books by, one, don't make it Green Lantern. Why don't you make let's see, if you want to be green, how about you do this? The purple, the purple lamplighter. Wait, no, lamplighter. That was all. that was already The Boys. Okay, how about red beam? And it's a guy who has a glove that can emit red energy. He can shape into whatever you want, and he happens to be gay. How about that? And then what you do is you target your audience and community and ask them to support you via Patreon or whatever. And then every month you will get $10 to make this story. Yeah, congratulations. You might actually make a good amount of money. If you can find 10,000 people who like that story and like that character, of which they certainly exist. There's certainly many, I would say at least 10,000 men who like gay stories and want to see these superheroes. And then you'll make $1 million. And you can use that money to make these comics and send them out to your fans. But the idea that you're going to go mainstream with the Green Lantern, shift completely away from the existing fan base into a smaller market and succeed is laughably absurd. And this is the problem with Get Woke, Go Broke, my friends. My issue is not that they made him gay. I just don't care. I always say this. If you want to make Green Lantern gay, by all means, do so. I don't care, right? But I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to go see your movies, and then you'll fail. So be it. It is sad, however, and I do understand this. Green Lantern's a great character, right? Changing him in this way and changing Superman, it's unfortunate they do these things because these characters mean something to all of us. They inspired us when we were kids, and now they're just destroying it for this niche market that doesn't read comics and doesn't want to buy it. So what's happening now is they're failing. But you know what? So be it. Let them. The dude said, The only way to prove to the big publishers there's a huge market for authentic stories about LGBTQIA characters, and these stories are for everyone, is to buy the heck out of books like this. Unfortunately, nobody did. If you care about truth and justice, about shining a light in the darkness, if you think comics are and should continue to be for everyone, or if you just want to force these Comicsgate trolls back under the bridge they crawled out from, please support our book. Everyone deserves to see themselves in comics. Everyone needs allies. And if you're an ally, now is time to step up. I got it for you, buddy. Here's what you do. You make it so that Green Lantern doesn't have sex at all. No, hear me out. Hear me out. Imagine if you just didn't have Green Lantern have sex with anyone. People might buy it. You know what's funny is a lot of these leftists are like, or I'll put it this way. A lot of superhero characters you can assume are straight or whatever. I don't know. A lot of superheroes and characters don't have relationships. And no one ever stopped to ask, I wonder who they be banging. So these people are doing something that's totally off the beaten path, ensuring that there is this in the comic. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of comic book characters have love interests and have sex. No, I totally get it. I'm saying, I got a solution for you, dude. If you want someone to feel like they're represented, perhaps the character just need not do these things. Like Green Lantern doesn't need to bang anybody. But if you want to go for it, fine, so be it. Just don't be surprised. They say the reviews of the first 6 issues have been mixed. Some have applauded Sheridan for his commitment to featuring gay characters, while others have decried the direction he took the beloved character. They've completely altered the character, who was a brave and cheerful superhero, who was one of the few allowed to grow old and was happily married to another of DC's Golden Age characters. In this new series, he's been written as a closeted homosexual who was blackmailed by the FBI into joining the JSA. And at the end of the issue, he ends up in an insane asylum. I don't know who wants their old school superheroes written this way, but I do not. Avoid this book. This character has been ruined and his nearly 80 years of published history ignored, presumably for the sake of diversity. I would just like to jump back over and shout out the Rippaverse, $3.7 million in sales. I just want to stress this. I can only assume that there are heavy costs to producing these books. I don't know what they would be. So it's not like Eric July is just sitting on $4 million. I do, however, want to believe this, and it must be stated, with all due and the most utmost respect to Eric July, who I believe is likely now worth several $1 million. Now let's put it into perspective. He's got these comics. He's raised a bunch of money. He sold a bunch of books. The value of the Rippaverse based on these sales alone, and this is July 22nd. So this is a while ago. Actually, let's do this. What we got? Campaigns. What campaigns do you got going on right now? The success of this, let's just do basic math. Depending on how you want to break this down. If he's got this much in sales, then you can say that his company, I don't know about his assets or anything like this. Are we going to, okay. Alpha Core #1 campaign. What do we got here? Whoa! 300,000 pre-order campaign goal. $959,000 in sales. Here we go. ISOM #1, I think we just had, that's 3.7. And ISOM #2, where's ISOM #2 at? Is that going to load? I can't get that one to load. Come on. What's going on? I don't know, whatever. Let's break it down. Eric July, he's got 4 million in sales, almost 5 million in sales right there. Plus, I think there was another fundraiser he did where he raised like $1 million. I could be wrong. And so this dude's company raising millions of dollars. The company itself is going to be worth several times that. Depending on the math you want to use, it can be like 4 or 5 times, or in some industries, it could be up to 10 times. And I'll break it down. So what is the value of a company? Oh, here we go. $2.3 million for ISOM #2. And it looks like there's even like an animated version. That's super cool. Ended on August 2023. Sold a bit less, but still a tremendous success. 672% sales goal. All right, so let's talk about how you value a company. In traditional and the most basic is you add up the all of the money sitting around and all of the assets, and you say this is the current net worth value of the business. But hold on there. If we want to determine the actual value, you need to ask yourself, how much would you be willing to accept to sell this business off completely? Which means many companies are worth substantially more. And worth is I'm talking about worth like what's a car worth. So you can argue that, let's say company A has 10 chairs, and that's all it is. It's a room with chairs. Each of these chairs costs $50. They're good chairs, maybe something like this. Okay, so it's worth $500, this company, because those are the hard assets you can sell off. But hold on. What does the company do? The company has a bunch of intellectual property that is generating $500 per month. Okay, so now we're talking about, what do we have, $6,000 a year. That revenue coming in, well, we know that if we go over the span of 5 years, we got 30 grand. So for how much money would you sell the business? If someone came to you and said, I'll give you 10 grand for the business, you'd be like, why? I'll make 6 grand this year and 6 grand next year. I can just sit on the business and generate the revenue. So the true value of the business, like any other object, is how much are you willing to sell it for? My point is simply this. Rippaverse could be worth as high as, with these kinds of sales each year, millions of dollars, $20 to $50 million. And I know a lot of people are going to say, what? How could it be worth so much? You didn't make that much money. It's because with the tremendous success that they've consistently had in selling comics, we can project the sales that are going to come in for pre-orders and projections and goals. If they're making this much money, there's a diminishing return. We can expect the company to generate several $million every single year. For this reason, the company itself has a projected revenue, which is value, plus hard assets and intellectual property. So I'd actually say this. The movie rights, the TV show rights are also worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The intellectual property themselves, which is clearly successful, is worth an absurd amount of money. What I'm trying to say is, I don't think Eric July is buying himself a $30 million Santa Monica mansion or anything like this. But dude's a millionaire. No, I don't even think there's a question. Owning the company itself, he may not have that in cash to buy a car with, but the value of the company and everything around him is in the millions. And you know why I'm saying this? I'm not trying to, I don't know. Here's the narrative. I want Eric July to be a millionaire. I want him to be rich. I want him to pull up in a Model S plaid at a comic book convention, get out wearing the finest suit, and hand one of his comic books to an excited kid who says, I want to be like him when I grow up. I want Eric July to be greater than Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and all of these other comic book creators. I want him to stand up and say, we know what makes comic books good. We know what inspired us as kids, and they've abandoned us, and we're taking over. And each and every person who is involved in this, and I don't want to just single him out. I'm just saying, his success is so inspirational. I want every one of these people at DC and Marvel and any other of these companies to look at him and wish they were doing what he was doing. I want every kid who is looking for new superheroes to think, this is cool. They won't buy Green Lantern, and that's sad because we love Green Lantern. We love all these characters that they're destroying. But you know what? If they're going to destroy them and they're going to sell out, then let kids look up to this. And then the history of books will reflect upon what happened. So let me just shout out. Stunning artwork by Cliff Richards, coloring by Gabe Eltabe, lettering by Eric Weathers, and a storyline by Eric July. I hope these dudes are rich. I hope they live in big houses with infinity pools. I hope they can come out and prove to all the young people, if you want to create great stories, if you want to inspire others, these are the characters that people are interested in. These are the storylines that we like. This is what will make you successful. Now, I don't want it to be all about money. I think it should be about the ideas, the ideals, the values. I want kids to grow up understanding what it means to be a true hero in similar stories that I grew up watching as well. We watched a clip last night of Superman where he was being chased by Mixes Pitlick, if you guys ever saw this from the WB show. And when he deflects some of the bullets, he then, it literally shows him dropping the thing in a garbage dump. Like, got to make sure that you're not polluting, you're not littering. But I like these stories. I think they're great. And these are better stories that we want to show young people. In order to do so, you got to make money. Money represents and I'm a capitalist, baby. Making all this money represents a valuable thing you've created. So let DC, let Marvel go this woke route and fail. From the Marvels to the new Green Lantern to the $1 billion Disney lost with all their stupid movies and their woke reboots and all this trash. And let Rippaverse take over. Because there's going to be some kid, 10 years old, and his dad is going to be like, I bought you a comic book. And he's going to hand him ISOM #1. And guess what? I love about this. Can we, Alpha Core. So you've got a diverse group of heroes here. Look, this guy's presumably black. This guy's white. Here's a white woman. You have ISOM #1. And here's a guy who happens to be black. And that's fine. It's immaterial, the race of the superhero. What matters to me is the ideas of the superhero. But you don't see the left cheering for diverse characters succeeding so wildly. Because it's never been about that. That's always been the lie. I hope that there's a dad out there who handed this comic book to his kid and he said, here's a comic book, read these stories. Here's animation, you can watch this. I want that kid to grow up and be like, wow, I want to be like him. I want to be the superhero. I hope kids grow up wanting to emulate the values that Eric July has instilled in these characters. And then in 20 years, this kid's going to be, 30 years old. He's going to be working in the comic book industry. There's going to be tons of money, a $1 billion industry with movies and VR games. Eric July is going to be an old man, and they're going to talk about how he reignited the passions of the comic book industry. That's what I hope for. Because there were great things that were made. There were great things that were made by people like Stan Lee. Some of these ideas are incredible. I grew up watching Marvel and DC. I'm a bigger fan of DC, I gotta be completely honest. And it's funny because people are like, no, Marvel's better. They're both good. I'm a big fan of both, but I really do like DC for a variety of reasons. And because Batman's just a guy. Yeah, this is why I love Batman. He's rich, I get it. But Batman is described in the comic book universe, his power is peak human. That's right. He trained his mind and his body. I understand he's also rich and he has gadgets. Don't get me wrong. But what makes Batman so incredible is his stealth, his willing. He goes toe to toe with the best superheroes ever, and he does not have powers. And it is my favorite thing ever in the comic book lore that, given enough time, Batman will defeat anyone. He beat the Hulk. He threw nerve gas and then struck Hulk's solar plexus, causing him to inhale, and then Hulk passed out. This is excellent writing. The idea that you can be facing tremendous odds. You can be a regular guy, but if you work hard enough, you can defeat the most powerful super beings. Batman's so awesome. That's the message I get as a kid. So I love seeing this. It's sad to see what they've done to Green Lantern. Fine. But when they fail, so be it. Shout out to Eric July once again. You guys should support his work. We're big fans. And it's just super awesome to see this. I hope that in 50 years, we talk about the new golden age. And they talk about how, Eric July started making all this money. His company expanded. They started making comic books and card games. And as the MCU faded out and died, interest started to emerge over this Rippaverse. Super cool. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.